Music and Stress by D.McWeeney and M.Potvin.
The research question that we were interested in answering was about how does the action of listening to music affect stress levels within the body?
To answer our research question, we randomly selected students from the 4th floor of Hubbard Hall. We used a biofeedback thermometer to measure the temperature changes in the room and in the hand of the listener.
The idea of stress stems from the fight or flight response in the autonomic nervous system, which is part of the central nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is broken up into two parts, which can be seen on the image in the slide. The parasympathetic nervous system acts to calm down the fight or flight response, while the sympathetic acts to enhance these qualities. So, for example, in the sympathetic nervous system response, blood flow is significantly decreased in extremities, increased in vital organs. This means that for our ancestors, it was easier to react to danger. This made it favorable for natural selection as they were able to be protected in primitive societies. However, this mechanism can be harmful if overused or if someone is stressed too much. So essentially, it connects to the idea of music therapy and what stress is and how music connects. So for our experiment, we used this mechanism in the way that the quote explains. The more stressed a person is, the lower the temperature in the hands, feet, and other extremities. The lower the stress level, the higher the temperature should be in the extremities.
For this project, we used a biofeedback thermometer, which uses an electronic process that measures the temperature of the skin and the hand. The participants in this study listened to the song Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer, which you will be able to listen to if you click on our attached slideshow. We wanted to know if when the participants listened to this song, if their distal body temperature would rise or fall. If it rose, then we would know that they were becoming more relaxed. If it fell, we knew it would stress them out.
The materials that we needed to complete this experiment included obviously our biofeedback thermometer, an iPhone which played the music, speakers so the participant could hear, and the correct environment as described previously, and 10 random males and 10 random females, all from Hubbard Hall. For the change in the room temperature, it acted as a control, as there had to be a correct environment in order for this experiment to work. So basically, we measured the before and after to determine if there was a large change. If this data was very different from all the other data points, then it wasn't like all the other controls, which means that it had to be rejected and data must be recollected. Next, to collect the data for the change in distal body temperature of the participant, we measured if there was an increase, which demonstrated stress reduction, or a decrease, which demonstrated stress increase. The averages of all of these trials in both males and females were then utilized to answer the research question.
For the procedure, we first recorded the room temperature 3 times to get an average as a control. For step 2, we took the distal body temperature 3 times and averaged them as a control. Instructions on how to use the biofeedback thermometer are below. Step 3 is when we sit and play the song. Step 4, immediately we measured the distal temperature after the song finishes. And step 5, we once again measured the room temperature.
Due to the large amount of participants, we decided only to show a sample result of a female and a male. That way it could be understood what most of the data looks like. The averages from each trial were then averaged themselves together to find the average increase in distal body temperature. For the female, it came to be 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Like the female data, the male data also shows a sample result which mirrored most of the other participants. Again, like the females, the average was then taken and averaged together with all the other averages, and it was found that the average distal body temperature increased by 1.7 degrees Fahrenheit for the males.
Below shows female 1 and her distal body temperature change.
The result of this calculation, the 1.1 degree Fahrenheit change, was then averaged together with the other female data in order to find the average change in temperature overall.
These same calculations were done for the male results as well. 2 things we noticed were that the average change in temperature was smaller for males than for females, and on average, the temperature of the room did not modulate.
As the female data showed that it was 2 degrees Fahrenheit change, while the male was 1.7, this means that the females were most positively affected, and they became less stressed listening to the music than the males.
Based on the fact that the room temperature did not modulate, we can tell that the environment was a very good control for this experiment.
Therefore, overall, we can conclude that the averages for both male and female data demonstrate a reduction of stress. This is because the average distal body temperature increased. Like our research showed, a rise or increase is the result of stress relief, so therefore it can be deduced that listening to the music lowered stress levels in the body. The results that we found in our study are concurrent with the research that we found in the background and with other studies in the field. For example, one author writes in her research that music therapy can be a kind of palliative care and important to coping. This means that it can be important to helping with stress relief. Additionally, another researcher acknowledges that studies suggest that music therapy can be an effective nursing intervention in stressful situations as they decrease anxiety, blood pressure, and heart rate. This idea relates directly to the biological appearances of stress, which is similar to the results that we've seen in this experiment with the body as the temperature decreased. The fact that both our study and this study both saw differences and changes in the biological appearances of stress relate to the idea that there are certain physical aspects that occur when stress is in the body, and also that it backs up our research and what we have found here in this study. Although we saw positive results in this study, there are always improvements that can be made. For example, a smaller sample size or a larger population might yield different results, as with anything with science. Additionally, an inclusion of more genders might also yield differences in the results that we have seen. Some other ideas could be to incorporate or compare other locations around the country or globe and see if they react to stress and their body temperature differs as well.
After doing this experiment, we can conclude that listening to John Mayer's Slow Dancing in a Burning Room reduces stress on average for both males and females living in Hubbard Hall at UNH. Due to the fact that the research was parallel to other research in the field, the overall experimental project was successful. For this experiment, improvements are still possible, and new things can be studied as well. But we can ask new questions, such as, why does listening to music relieve stress in females more than males? Would playing a stressful song lower body temperature? These questions are something that we can consider the next time we do the experiment.
And these are our references for the project.
Thanks for watching!